5:01, I'm calling to order the special meeting of the City Council of the City of Bandera of Tuesday, August 11th, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. All council members are present with the exception of Lynn Palmer. City Secretary is present and the City Administrator is present. Item 2 is a closed session. Pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, the City Council will meet in closed session with the City Attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 2 discussion of the legal right, duties, and responsibilities of the City Council with respect to oversight of an economic development corporation. So at this time, 5:02, I'm recessing the regular meeting. (6:29). I am reconvening this open session of the City Council of the City of Bandera. Item 3 is the regular agenda. Discussion of possible action on the following items. Item A is the removal of members of the Board of Directors of the Bandera Economic Development Corporation. Rebecca.
I'd like to make a motion to remove all board members from the Bandera EDC with the exception of Suzanne Shawman and Lynn Palmer.
I'll second motion.
Sherry seconds. For the record, I withdrew my resignation from the Board of Directors of the EDC of Bandera City. It has not gone before the City Council for approval. Therefore, I withdraw my resignation. Discussion? All in favor? Rebecca, Jerry, Rosie are in favor. Don?
Mayor, I'm going to not vote. I abstain.
You want to abstain?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion approved. Item B, appointment of members to the Board of Directors of the Bandera Economic Development Corporation. Jerry.
I move to appoint Rebecca Gibson, Laura Davenport, I'm sorry.
LaSoya.
LaSoya, I'm sorry. LaSoya.
Second.
And the other two, is that, I believe it.
Second.
Rebecca seconds. Discussion? All in favor? Rosie, Jerry, and Rebecca are in favor. Don? Don abstain?
No, I'll vote for
You vote for. Don votes for. All in favor, none opposed. Motion passes. Item C, approval of amendments to the bylaws of the Bandera Economic Development Corporation and recommendation to the Bandera Economic Development Corporation for ratification. Rebecca.
Motion to approve the draft of amendments to the bylaws of the Bandera EDC for recommendation to the Bandera EDC for ratification.
Thank you. Jerry.
I'll second that.
Jerry seconds. Discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Thank you, council. Item D, approval of a contract for administrative services between the City of Bandera and the Bandera Economic Development, Corporation and represents Bandera Economic Development Corporation for ratification. Rebecca?
Move to approve the draft for EDC ratification.
Rebecca? Jerry?
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Thank you, council. Item E, approval of recommendation to the Bandera Economic Development Corporation for budget preparation and format. I have already proposed a format, and of course we have a new board basically, but I think I have something the council can approve in a matter of hours.
So that will come before the council.
It has to go to the EDC first. Now, EDC canceled their meeting on Thursday night pending the outcome of tonight's meeting. So Lynn is the vice president of the EDC, And I will ask her to schedule a workshop as quickly as possible so that I can present this to the board of directors and get it to council as soon as possible. Motions?
Does this item require action?
Ma'am?
I don't believe that this item requires action.
I don't really believe it does either, but this is the way it was written, so under discussion of possible action, however, council, if you agree, we will just follow as council has directed and move forward.
Mayor,
Yes, Jeff, Don.
I have a question. We voted to go with Republic Services. And go ahead and clarify for me, Rebecca, if you will, on what you have.
We're not there yet.
On there.
Oh, we're not there. I'm
Well,
sorry.
That's okay.
We're on recommendations for a budget format for council's approval.
I'm sorry.
That is, in my opinion, yes.
Do you think you should wait until the new members get together and?
Yes, ma'am. What, the way we'll do this is, because I've already sort of worked out a format, then I will present it to the new board of directors at a special meeting. They can approve, disapprove, whatever they want to do, and then we'll bring it back to council. But council cannot create them a budget without them creating a budget and bringing it to council. That's the procedure. So we can get this done as quickly as possible and get it back to council as early as next week.
I understand that.
Any other questions? Okay. Item F, reconsideration of the decision to seek request for proposal for solid waste services. As you know, we had some confusion. We have two different motions, both which passed. The first one was RFPs. The question here is, do you want to return to direct the administrator to go out for RFPs? Rebecca?
I'd like to make a motion to uphold the previous council decision and authorize the city administrator to seek RFPs for solid waste services.
Thank you. Second, Jerry,
I'll second that.
discussion?
I thought we did this.
Ma'am?
I thought this was already approved last session.
Well, that's the problem. We, on May the
20th.
20th, we approved RFPs.
But I thought the last session that we had, we decided to go for it, for them to go out and get the bids.
Well, the problem with that is there was already a motion approved to go out for RFP, and we did not go out for RFPs, but there was some confusion thinking that perhaps this was the company that was scored highest in return of the RFPs, and that therefore was presented to council. Don?
We did vote on the public services, and we had the RSPs updated on prior. Does that not die since it was not acted on?
That was that was the whole point of the executive piece where we were advised by the attorney. That's why we spent the money for him to come here and explain this, which he did probably about 4 to 5 different times in quick succession, repeating the same information to this board, because the initial council decision, which was a unanimous vote to go out for RFP, was essentially ignored, and we did not get proposals from multiple companies. Instead of that, what happened was the negotiations were entertained, and a single informal document was presented to council, and that's when there was some confusion as to whether or not the RFP had actually happened. It had not. And so per the advice of the attorney, either the RFP request needs to be rescinded, and we need to authorize the city administrator to go into direct negotiations with one company without entertaining any other proposals, or it needs to stand and we need to go out for RFP.
Okay. I
So my
understand. I understand.
motion was for it to stand.
Yes, Don?
I understand what you're saying. But since it did not happen, and it was recommended by our administrator and the mayor to go with the other firm, with the public services, doesn't that override?
No, sir.
They voted
So, I'm sorry?
nothing good.
May I?
All right.
You know, in retrospect, to me, the meetings, the talk, the things that Republic brought forward seemed like a great idea. Looked like win-win for the city. However, in all fairness to the city, I believe, I've been convinced that, not convinced, but I have to agree that perhaps that's not the best offer we give for the city. Yes, it would be easier not to have to go through a transition, easier not to have to raise garbage prices, easier not to have to, easier to continue to get the benefits that they give us. But I believe in all fairness to our citizens that we represent, RFPs are in their best interest. Sure.
I feel strongly that we need to show due diligence, that we're concerned with how we spend the taxpayers' money, and I can't see why we wouldn't want to at least compare what's out there. We don't know, even as good as it looks, we don't know that that's the best deal that we could possibly take. And the only way to find that out, in my opinion, is through RFPs.
Discussion?
One more thing, you know, I certainly understand y'all's thoughts on it, but I was going by our mayor's recommendation at the time and our administrator's recommendation to make a quick transition. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah, and
We'll do what
I have
we
to
have to.
agree. Further discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Okay, item 4. This is a special meeting. We need to forego requested announcements.
Are you
Council,
going
do
to
you not?
address item G?
That's the one we just had.
I'm sorry, no, ma'am, we just discussed, voted on item F.
Okay. I thought we already voted on item F.
We did.
And now we've got to do item G again?
It's on the agenda. I
Okay,
don't think
item
it's
G.
again.
Authorize the city administrator to provide notice of termination of the existing solid waste services agreement and to negotiate directly with the current and or other solid waste services. Rebecca,
Motion to deny.
motion to approve,
To deny.
to deny, I'm sorry.
I'll second that
Wait a minute,
for
read it.
discussion.
Deny the administrator to provide notice of termination to the existing solid waste services agreement and to negotiate directly with the current waste or other solid waste providers. I think that comes with RFP.
RFP stands.
I know that piece there.
Clarification, Jay?
Jay,
It's basically it's to deny any further negotiation with the existing trust.
with the existing, okay,
That's the way I understand it.
I'll go there.
This
No, that's not
would
what
have,
I said.
yeah, this would have needed to have been approved should we have decided not to go through with the RFP. We would have needed to
That's
approve
correct.
this one.
Yes,
Okay.
The reason to deny this one is because it was one or the other.
Okay.
So
let's go for deny.
we approved RFPs, we're denying negotiations.
That's
So
what
would
I
it be a
second.
no
Chair
action?
Okay, we want
No action.
I read it as,
I'm happy to withdraw
Yeah.
my motion if we don't need an action on it.
well, we have a section and a second and I agree. I was just reading it the other way. I was not reading approve, canceling and moving on, but that was clarification. Further discussion besides me being confused? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Thank you, council. So as this is a special meeting, I want to forego request by council to place items on a future agenda and announcement by council and move on to we want to do it?
I have a comment or
Okay,
a
go ahead.
request, and it's simply,
That's not the good one.
Mayor, Jill, and Jay, for you guys really, and I don't know if this is something that needs to come before council, but our public comment section, I think, is just really lacking. I don't know what we can do to involve the citizens more in our meetings digitally, or if we need to consider housing our meetings temporarily in another location that would provide for the spacing availability to include the public in our meetings. I understand we're exempt from the requirement, but I don't think that means that we have to be or operate this way. So it's just, I would like to see us try to operate in a different way that would include the public.
Thank you.
I can check into what, the last thing that the attorney told me was that they could email their letters and that kind of thing unless we did move to a larger facility because of the 10 persons or more gathering. But like I said, tonight we have 22 people that are logged in, and that's more people than normally even attend a meeting. So, but I will see if we can do anything different or find a bigger space to have better social distancing.
Thank you.
And I sent an email to TML about the workshop, the open meetings and our public hearings and our workshop. And they recommended, since we're still required to do it by Zoom, that they, raise their hand during the discussion and come in and out of that. We'll look further into it.
They can do that during a public hearing. So if it's a public hearing, they can raise their hands on that, and then I can click and they can talk just like we do with like Derek.
Yeah, I observed that at our last meeting.
Yeah.
But even just regular meetings on an ongoing basis, where this way that we're functioning is,
Yeah.
I think we're lacking in by not getting input from our
Well,
community.
I don't know why there would be a problem with them raising their hand and letting me unmute them and say their 3 minutes rather than me reading them, because it's still saying the same thing, whether I'm saying it or they're saying it.
Even during regular agenda items though, and I might be going too far with this since this is just comment opportunity, but I'll just leave it at that. If it's something that needs to come back before the council for discussion, we can do that. But at our regular meetings in the past, we would have public input during our regular meeting on a specific agenda item, and we're just not in a operating in a way that we can have that ongoing and regular.
We'll work on it.
One thing, because I experienced it myself, I think part of the reason that we're not getting the
Oh, this is not a
participation.
discussion.
No, but I'm
This is not a
I'm gonna
discussion.
make a
item. This is
recommendation
request
here. I'm
for
just saying.
A different recommendation on something else. Okay.
I think part of that issue is the fact that our equipment, our technology could be better, because it's very difficult to hear. So I'd like to request it with approval of city council, if that need be, that
I still
the city staff looks into better technology, because you can't hear, for one.
Okay, let's do some research and see where we are on that. We'll get with RS. Anything else? Okay, announcement by council. Council, don't forget that Saturday we're having the ceremony in remembrance of Rodney Monteo at noon at City Park. Okay, item 5, budget workshop. Discuss budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. As you know, this is an evolving living document. And it's already changed the last time you saw it. But not in a great way. Is that the new one? Good.
They just didn't bring the
Nobody has the new one.
No, the same one, they just didn't have theirs from the last meeting.
Good.
I did get the schedule for the budget workshops and the public hearings, but one thing that I feel like I remember from last year, something that I feel like we missed the opportunity to do was really hear more from each department on the summary of this fiscal year, what cutbacks we could possibly consider, and what new programs are coming, and what new city projects are coming down that are going to require some adjustments. So just in terms of the structure of these meetings and the workshops, I don't know if there's anything that you guys have in mind, or if Jay's just going to present from each department.
I'm gonna have the department heads, of
Okay.
course, which we don't have a lot of departments, but we'll have everybody here to answer questions. I can't answer all the questions that they may ask for. You may ask, why do they need us, whatever. I may not have that answer. I'd rather them have it than me.
Are those gonna be scheduled at different meetings? Okay.
They'll be during the workshops as well. They can come to the workshops
think
when
we
y'all
will-
discuss it.
We'll do 2 or 3 departments. There are more departments in the general fund than there are in the utility fund. Utility fund is public works, basically. So we'll have the marshal, we'll have city secretary, we'll have the court, and we'll have, Jay will probably represent the court, and then the treasury and the administration. So, you know, we can get that in no more than 2 workshops.
Okay.
And one thing I want to have to you by the 20th, we will have the desk audits back to determine if these department heads should be, and city officers should be salaried or they should be hourly, and that will of course be your decision, but not at a workshop. We don't even- But we'll have salary spreadsheets like we've had to show you the difference. Should they be salaried or should they be hourly? What is in here that I want to, yes, you're right.
Oh, Jill had her hand up back there.
I was just gonna say, when I do the agendas for the workshops, I can, make the actual agenda, not just budget workshop, but put like Public Works Department and
I would
treasury or
appreciate
whatever,
that
you know what I
structure
mean? That
so
way
we
you
can
have-
come prepared
Yeah.
for each department.
Yeah. So
specifically.
as we go through the budget, we'll start with the biggest one on the first workshop, and I'll have that department. And then that way we can make sure that whoever is available to participate in the workshop can be here.
And we would have gone in more depth tonight, guys, but with the special meeting, if you have anything in particular that just jumped out at you and you want to question. Okay, Amber has, as I said, it's an evolving document. We have this is August, we have the July sales tax should be in this week, if it's not already here.
Not yet.
Oh, we found a typo that made a difference of about $30,000 to the good. What was specifically, Jay? Anything else pop into your head?
No, I mean, some of the insurance numbers are still iffy. I mean, they're not, we can't put a nail in them yet because we haven't got the final numbers for them. And then, of course, we met today about healthcare insurance, which hopefully we'll have something pretty, another first member? Yeah, we'll have some numbers to give to council for healthcare, things like that. The only, and I don't even, the only big expense that I can think of besides CIPs, I think we have 2 requests for vehicles. One in the police department, one in the public works. I know that off the top of my head, but I don't have any budget numbers really. I got a kind of a scope, but nothing really definite on them yet.
So you mentioned capital improvement plans. Is that specifically wastewater treatments or is that
No.
streets? Do we have our flood infrastructure fund?
We haven't
matching
got any of
portion?
that stuff.
And master plan. Those are kind of our
Right.
4
But
big.
we have got nothing back on those apps
So
yet.
we don't have any projections in the budget at this point?
Not yet. We'll be finding, hopefully, go ahead.
And we should have them in August.
You do not see CIPs in the budget.
Okay.
They're
That's
separate
it's a
documents.
separate document.
The CIPs will not be in the budget. The only CIP that council has approved is the street CIP. That's a separate document. In here, you also will not see hot funds, because hot funds are not numbers that we can spend discretionary.
No.
So you'll get a separate document to track hot funds. What else? Is it just hot funds? Because we don't have EDC to deal with this year. And as far as EDC is concerned, we were paying it back $10,000 a year for years. And in our audit, there was a figure of $55,509 or whatever it was. So I met with Art because he and I had both agreed that we were done. So I said, Art, what is this? He said, the way that our auditor audits, as of September 30, he slams the door on the books. So as of September 30, we still owed EDC for September and August, which they received later in the year. So that 55,000 was outstanding money that the city paid them, but not until no later than November. So we have cleared that up. So, what other incidentals do we have, Jay?
I can't think of anything just outstanding. You will see one number in here, COVID-19, which is under the administration page. And what that is when this all started, FEMA said, keep track of all of your spending that has anything to do with the COVID-19. I think,
Reimbursement.
just guessing that they were hoping this would be a quick deal and they could help reimburse. That we probably will not get a portion of that back, probably not a big portion of it back. But we're still tracking everything that we've got there. So, you know, if the government comes into an extra $1 billion or $2 billion and wants to throw it our way, we'll be glad to catch some of it. But it is basically just record keeping, and it will show a negative number because, of course, nobody budgeted for COVID-19.
Jay, for council's benefit, I thought we had discussed not filling in a council contingency fund amount because we don't know what it's gonna
There
be.
shouldn't be a number in there. That was just,
Okay.
the council contingency fund is what is in this year's budget,
It's what we
not
get
as what's
left over.
coming.
Yeah.
That was something that she just threw in there by accident, I'm sure. But we can't budget for a council contingency now.
Well, we'll make sure that's corrected too, but like I said, we've got a lot of tweaking to do on this. So, and also, I don't know if this COVID-19 number should be even included, but we'll talk about that.
Well, it is a record keeping number, yes.
It is record keeping, but it doesn't belong in the budget, in my opinion.
And if we do need more workshops as we go, I can add more. I just, since there's so many meetings and so many public hearings that I have to do, I had to lock down some dates that everybody was available so I could get it to the paper to have it in time. So we can add workshops as we go, but a lot of them I tried to do the public hearing and the workshop on the same day so that we could get the public hearing done, go into workshop. So as we go after the first one or two, if we need more, then I can add more workshops to the schedule that y'all have now.
And the property tax rate that you see in here, we did get our numbers from Linda Shearhart. And that is based on the no new revenue rate. But you also see that we have the interest and sinking, which is 63,849, just down just a tad from last year. And our assessment was up just a tad this year, wasn't it?
Yes,
92 versus 93 or something like that.
something to that effect. I don't
Anyway,
know
we'll be
the
sending
exact-
all those details to you, and if you have questions, because it's all just clear as mud when you start looking at the taxes. We'll be glad to talk to y'all about any of that. So, okay, there's anything other specific that might have jumped out at you? All of you feel free to please contact Jay and make time to speak with him about the budget or me or whoever. Just, we could probably answer some of your questions before we get to the actual workshop and you know, get some clarification. Jay, anything?
Yeah. But no, I mean, if you do have a question, please call me.
Where are we gonna see, the expense for the master plan, under administrative?
It should be under administration.
fund.
And we will fill that, actually, we will probably put that into a separate line item. I know it'd be a separate line item, but it could also be with, where is it?
Other expenses.
But it will be under administration.
It would be under expenses, would it not?
Yes,
Other-
Page 8,
under administration.
yeah, in general fund, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So we'll add it there.
Yes.
506.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Rebecca. And this is one thing that we will be approaching EDC about helping us with the expense.
And am I right to say that, page 5, bottom of page 5, account 10504, 4530, council contingency fund, that $52,000 is not allocated this fiscal year?
5230? I mean, what are you talking?
4530 is the balance of the council
The
contingency
balance of the
fund.
council contingency is not allocated at this time.
That is money that we're expecting to receive. That should not really be in the budget because it's not a budgeted item. You said it's a way of tracking, but it's not a budgeted item.
No, we have that. The council
Suzanne,
contingency fund, we do have. That is,
Yes.
but it's not a projected number. There's nothing forward.
Okay, last time I talked to you, we had not received any COVID money. When did
no,
this come?
ma'am, not the COVID money. Council contingency fund.
That's a big fat zero.
We've allocated all of the council contingency funds.
Don't ask me what she did.
Okay, this is not,
I mean, there's nothing budgeted forward for
that's
council.
not what I'm asking.
I know you're asking. Let me
This
double
is-
check
I'm
on
asking
that.
what the balance of the council contingency fund is, and if we have not allocated those funds for this fiscal year, is that something that we could do, allocate it towards next year's fiscal budget, or will it carry over
You-
automatically?
No, you can allocate it.
We can
for
allocate
a fund.
52,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, we can allocate it. In fact, we've got a fund balance from last year's budget that we can move into this year's budget to fund our CIPs or our master plan or whatever. And then at the end of this year, whatever money we have left over, we could use it before we lose it, so to speak. Before we close it out in December, before we close this year's budget out, let's say we have 30,000 left over in the general fund. We want to put that in the streets, we put it in the master plan or whatever y'all want to do with it. I apologize for that. I'm
That's
totally
okay.
talking about COVID.
That's
And I don't believe that 52 is correct, but yes, we will definitely use it before it's all over.
So that would potentially require a budget adjustment at a future council meeting this fiscal year.
And you
Notes to
will be
Jill.
having one for the training that was approved, so,
Okay,
because that's happening next week, so that'll come out of there.
thank you.
If you look on page 36, you kind of get an overview of expenses and revenue report. And as we're sitting right now, we're out of balance, so. We'll figure it out before it's all over.
When will we have a better draft to look at?
Probably, what is today, Tuesday? Probably Thursday, maybe at the latest. I know she's got another one, but we haven't actually had a chance to go over it.
Would you entertain a motion to adjourn?
Rebecca makes the motion to adjourn.
I'll
Sarah
second that.
seconds. Third discussion, all in favor, not opposed, 7:02.
Thank you.
Budget workshop.